Have you ever heard the term anticipatory compliance? If you haven't heard the term, you at least know what anticipatory means. To anticipate, to expect something. And compliance, to be fully put yourself beneath, to be compliant, to expect to be underneath, submissive to something. So, we have three type of people in the scriptures. It says you can be a poor person, a rich person, or a little kind of gaze, right? And so I guess if you're under the footstool of someone, then you're meant to be the judge of the outcomes if you don't understand that. But here it goes. Anticipatory compliance is a form of self-denigration. So what it is like, okay, you see in a society, it usually happens with minorities, where minorities are suppressed by an oppressed, what do you call it? This component, this autonomy that suppresses the minority from the liberalities they complain that they cannot have. So what happens is it makes people compliant. Compliant to the point where they have to listen and be submissive to get what they want. It's called a reward, to be anticipatory for something. But in this term, anticipatory compliance is a form termed and coined by sociologists that minorities, in particular, they do things to please their oppressor. And during the act, they themselves are the victims. So while you have this anticipatory compliance situation where the oppressor is trying to kill you, you're rooting along like the supervillain, the antagonist, and the co-antagonist will do anything for the oppressor to be accepted to receive a reward while everyone's being affected. Now, I learned this theory about, people that work in chemical plants, that they have to work all day, like 9 to 5, building chemicals, but when the chemicals go out, they're killing the population, but they don't realize what their work and how it affects others. And so, in the same extent, anticipatory compliance is submitting ourselves to harming others by being our own self-destructive self. So we have Kamala Harris is the female vice president. And so maybe women might change. And liberalism, like how with gays, it might change the way people respond to each other. So if we fight for gays and women and minorities to be liberalized, right, then the outcome shouldn't affect everyone else. So what you have is a group of minorities trying to be rewarded to do whatever, and they're against their civil rights codes, breaking it all the time. And what happens is the entire liberal process doesn't work out after, So if a heterosexual has to go to a gay person and says, as long as I don't have to do sexual things that are against my sexual preferences, and then in return the gay says, well, then you can't work at any of these jobs. That is the same equally to sexual abuse. Not rape, but sexual abuse. It's like forcing someone to have sex. That's what happened to Bernie's Harry Weinstein, right? He was arrested because he forced people to have sex with him under compliance. It's just all these things you have to think about. And it's happened with gays, and now it may happen with women, and people would acknowledge these things, and they might change their political ideologies, their political, the ideological formation, and just maybe instead might just digress, and it might work against females, or it might work against what the minorities already experienced. Or why? Well, if we're affecting this group and we're minorities too, and then they might change into other things that might just affect the entire process, so they won't lose their opportunities. So that's anticipatory compliance as a whole. And so, me personally, I feel affected by it regardless of all of these situations. I just think life has been an anticipatory compliant situation without realizing it. And so, my way to deal with it nowadays is at a spiritual level. Some people don't believe in a spiritual level because they don't have faith and they don't work their faith. And I've had to learn how to work my faith in order for it to work out. The outcome of work and faith are always something with work. Getting something with faith has a good outcome, no matter what it is. It never existed because it just didn't happen yet. And so doing something without it just, it creates something, but using faith when you do it has a different outcome. So my way of dealing with those types of situations nowadays is kind of being more like going around and understanding everyone and seeing the growth and change of what needs to be changed with people. And so throughout time, you might meet somebody at a certain state in their life. You might say something good, and the next time you see them, you want to see the results, and the next time you want them to grow. And this is how I think is the only way to deal with these type of situations now. And I think using a spiritual way is the most successful way because it has a better energy than just using aggression and just things that, they may work politically and legally, but we only have people who are pundits that can say so and things that makes them completely compliant. So spiritually, we can talk about our knowledge through our spiritualities and identify what's been bothering us. I think it has a more enlightening way of growing, and that's my only solution so far. So the next time I encounter someone, I want to get together with them and find tactics to talk about what they're going through, and to create the next time that we experience each other, to see the difference of what you've been going through before and the difference after. And so that's my way of dealing with the situation. You might have created a different knowledge of how to deal with these types of situations that bother you in your own personal life. So I wish you luck. I wish myself luck. All right? We're